I'm Frank Stilley.
I'm Sam Stilley,
And
and
we're
we're
with
with
Amstill
Amstill
Roofing.
Roofing. So, when did you decide you were going to start a company?
I came home from college. My dad passed away, and I decided that I needed cash. So I wanted to help my mother by financially supporting her so she would have a good quality life and I could have something of an occupation since I had left school. I didn't finish school. So I decided to go ahead and educate myself and be street smart and work with homeowners and educate myself into what homeowners really like, because their homes were their castles. I mean, that's where they live, that's where they raise their families. And I wanted to make sure that they could feel a connection with me so they would remember me, because if they remembered me, I knew that I would get repeat business.
Like, I guess, how old were you when you did this?
I was 21 years old.
So that was back when?
That was back in the day when Moses walked the earth.
What year? What year was that?
That was 1974.
Okay. So you're 21 years old.
Yeah.
You started a company in 1974. How did you know it was going to be roofing? I mean, did you think about anything else before roofing?
Yeah, actually I did. The first winter was a little slow,
Mm-hmm.
so I sold life insurance for
Okay.
the 8th largest insurance company in the world, Sun Life of Canada. And these guys were go-getters. They taught you everything you'd ever want to know about single sales needs and how to approach homeowners. And I've never been shy, so I've always been able to express myself in a good way. But with the knowledge, I was really able to enhance my position and my reputation in the industry.
Do you feel like anything you learned at Sun Life of Canada, you applied into Amstill in the early years?
Absolutely. These guys were multi-million-dollar producers every year.
Mm-hmm.
They made millions of dollars, and I trained with the best of them. So it allowed me to really understand human nature, clear communication with mutual admiration and respect, and have a good balance where I was offering a good service that they could really appreciate, and something that would protect their homes when it rained, knowing that they got a good job.
Cool. And I know you talk about, like, in our culture here at the office, you know, we're big on strength and integrity and commitment, willingness, trust, all these things. Where did you best learn those things from, like, an early year? Like, what was the biggest impression you got for those type of things?
I was in school. I went to the University of Arkansas up in Fayetteville, and I came home from school, and I decided that there was more to life than going to school. And back in those days, you could be successful if you really were determined to be successful. So it all started with discipline and good organizational skills.
Right.
And a commitment to always believe in yourself, to never quit, to never give up, to never stop trying. But the most important thing that I learned is that through good organization, you can be successful in anything you attached yourself to do, as long as you were sincere and direct and honest and made a commitment to be the very best you could be.
So talking about, like, direct and honest and all those things you just mentioned, I remember you telling me, and obviously we know this, that you served in law enforcement for 28 years, I think it was?
Yes, I decided to be a law enforcement officer because I want to give back to the community. And I felt that the community had blessed me with a lot of success, and I was able to do things that I never really dreamt at the time, you know, when my dad died, were possible. But I was always a self-starter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my family never ever, I paid myself through college and always worked through high school. So when I became a law enforcement officer, I joined the Harris County Sheriff's Office, which is the 3rd largest law enforcement agency in the United States. And I ranked up to captain, which is a high honor. It was just absolutely the most wonderful opportunity I had with working with brothers and sisters in the blue and carrying out community relations and really making the streets safe for the families of homes that I worked on. Make sure their children were safe.
Yeah, and that's awesome that you did that. Do you feel like any of the foundational principles of being in law enforcement carried over into Amstill in the early years, and then that's what stayed with us as we grew, and like those core foundational pillars just carried over?
Absolutely. Discipline, commitment, integrity, all those go hand in hand. And when you work with that trio of opportunities, it fine-tunes you into the person you are and allows you to represent yourself well and hold your head up high. And people see that when you communicate with them. They see that they see that determination and that commitment.
Do you think that commitment and discipline and integrity you talk about, we have our team here now, so we've been in business for almost 50 years, and we have 23, 24 employees that all work here at this office. How do you feel our company culture is in alignment with those pillars that you founded the company on back in the 70s?
I've always encouraged the salesmen to maintain their discipline at all costs. And if they can be organized and remain organized, they can be successful. And with the staff, it's just a matter of good skills, good social skills on the phone. When they answer the phone, you have to have a personal interest in whoever you're doing business with. You have to make them feel comfortable and realize the fact it's just not all about the money.
Right.
It's about the opportunity that both of you have, hand-in-glove relationship.
Yeah, mutually beneficial.
To both get something mutually that you're going to be happy with.
Yeah, that makes total sense. What is, from all the years that obviously you've been a part of the company and since you started it, what would you say is your most proud accomplishment that you've personally achieved?
Wow, there's been so many. I always wanted, when I was in high school, at our high school reunion, I always wanted to be a millionaire. And not to place an emphasis on money, because I know a lot of people struggle with the economy like it is. But it was a personal goal for me, because I never really, other than just working at Rice Food Market back in the day and going to high school and buying my own car, I never really thought that I would be like, wealthy. I mean, so to me, the accomplishment I got was knowing that I had set my goal and I was able to achieve it because I believed in it. So whatever Napoleon Hill says, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, then he shall achieve.
Yeah.
So positive thinking allowed me to do great things in my life. So to answer the question, I was able to be successful. Putting the money aside, I was able to be successful because I believed in what I was doing.
Sure, yeah. So like the success obviously is, everyone talks about their success, and it's kind of like day traders, talk about how much money they make on one day, but they don't talk about how much money they've lost the day before. Was there ever any bad years that were scary that you thought, like, how can I move on to the next year after this? And what did that feel like?
Absolutely. There's an old saying in the roofing business. When the phones aren't ringing, you go outside your building and you check the phone lines to see if they've been cut by a competitor. Unfortunately, through the challenging times and the hard times, whether it be a drought or whether it be just the economies, that come and go through the years, there's always a challenge, but you just stay the course. You just tough it out.
But was there ever a time that you almost felt like this has been the worst year ever, I can't imagine doing this again? Was there ever moments like that?
Never entered my mind. I just always thought, well, I have a positive attitude. I believe in myself. I'm Frank Stilley. I'm not going to be beaten. I'm not going to quit. I just figured that every day would bring a new opportunity and every new year would be better.
Yeah. No, I think what's interesting, in staff have noticed this, and of course old employees that have been here for 20 plus years notice this too, is everyone wants to know, how does Frank Stilley remember every client's name? You read a name and you're like, oh, we did her roof 22 years ago and she lives on this street, and like how do you even have that type of memory? I mean, it's mind-blowing.
You know what, that's really a nice question. This is amazing. I can be driving through a neighborhood, because I ran all my jobs for years. Personally, ran my jobs. I started them, I ran a circle, I'd do appointments, I'd check on the job, I'd find out when they're going to finish. I'd go back, inspect the job, collect on it, load up my truck with whatever materials were left over, and move on to whatever my next stop was.
Right.
So I can drive through neighborhoods right now,
Okay.
and I can list in my mind people's houses I've done. like the streets.
It's like a
I
superhero
can
power.
remember their names.
What, do you have any stories or any customer stories that you felt were significant throughout your decades of experience that impacted you in a super meaningful way? Maybe you helping a client that maybe couldn't afford to pay for a roof, or anything like that that really just gave you a sense of purpose past business, but like, I'm really helping people in an awesome way?
Yeah, many times. I always gave back because I always felt blessed. I still do to this day. There was a customer that called me one time. He had a wood shingle roof, and he says, "You got to come over. You got to come over." It's a repeat customer. And I said, "Well, okay." So I had my truck and put on my work boots and blue jeans, my Amstill shirt. Come up to his house, knocked on the door, he had this look on his eyes.
Yeah.
And I go, what's going on? He goes, "There's a raccoon in the attic. I need to get that raccoon out." I said, "I'm not going to go up there in that attic and get that raccoon out. But I'll patch the hole on the roof for you, and you can call animal control. They can take care of it." And then we used to do a lot of free repairs for elderly folks in the community. I always had a good heart. I still have to this day. I've always been a giver. I used to do work, when I used to sack groceries, a lot of the ladies that would work at the, they would shop at the grocery store, they go, "Oh, that Frank Stilley, he's just the nicest young boy and nicest young person." And so they would call me out to work on their roofs when I got into the roofing business because they remember me.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of repairs free. I wouldn't even charge them any money. And then I would give away a roof a year on someone's home that didn't have the means to afford it. And I just always felt that it's important to give from your heart and to respect people and appreciate where they are. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Sam. My gosh, you've heard my story. We could have probably been there for days, talking about everything, but we just don't have that much time. But on a serious note, when you were a young boy, and I brought you up myself as a single parent, which I'm awful proud of, and I taught you. What did you get out of being brought up by a single parent when your mom lived out of the country and it was just me and you 24/7?
Probably the first thing that comes to my mind would be just hard work, because I remember there's a lot of days you'd pick me up from school and we'd either go on an appointment together and I would just ride along, sit with you, or we'd go back to the office, the old office, and be there till like nighttime,
Yes.
And I had that little pallet that if I got tired I'd sleep on, that I'd pull out from underneath those chairs. I think hard work and commitment were two things that I easily learned at a young age because of the repetition of, like, if you didn't sell something, then there was nothing to be provided for the family. So I think the consistency of, Monday through Friday and Saturdays, just working all the time, and me being a part of that journey with you and understanding how important it was to always take care of your business, and if you do that, the business will take care of you.
That's so true. I remember we'd go on appointments. And do you remember your first sales appointment, how I prepped you on doing it?
I have a distinct memory of, I think it may have been one of my first appointments when you were with me, and we went to a home near the Galleria area. It was off like 59 and 610, off like L'Arche Lemon. I can't remember the street name. But it was a small neighborhood of like 200, 300 homes, a little pocket over there. And I think we met with it was a single middle-aged guy. Maybe at the time he was in his late 30s. And it was a ranch-style one-story home. We'd built the estimates, and I remember us sitting at his kitchen table, and I had gone through the brochure presentation that we used to do, and I had presented the price for the roof cost, and he didn't give me obvious feedback of like he was ready to sign, or it was like, "No, I don't want to sign." And you kind of like looked at me like, like he was ready to sign the contract, like have him sign the contract. And then I understood by your body language that I was like, okay, so like, we're good to go. And the guy was like, yeah, and signed the contract. And then sitting out in the truck when we were leaving, and you were like, you gotta just like know when they're ready. And he was like, the guy was ready halfway through your presentation just to sign a contract with you.
That's right, always be closing.
Yeah.
So when you were learning the business, did you enjoy working like in the summers when you were in high school and when you were in college? I mean, what were the highlights of those early years to even allow you the thought that you might one day want to be the CEO of one of the largest roofing companies in the county?
I would say, well, I guess you had two questions, but I enjoyed the work because I enjoyed being outside, and I saw every homeowner, now I view it a little bit differently, but I saw every homeowner as a challenge, and as Jimmy would say, an intellectual battle.
Yes.
Who is more intelligent? And I saw that as a challenge every day to become just better as a person with sales skills, because I knew that the product that I was offering is great. I knew the service is great. The only thing that was lacking when I was very young was my sales talent. And I was like, I knew that every day I could go out and get better. And if I failed on an appointment or if I failed at door knocking, that I could take whatever I failed and tweak it a little bit and try again. So I think that first summer of doing a lot of door knocking and running a ton of appointments and seeing what did and didn't work was an awesome experience. And I think that the excitement of forcing me to become better at something is what I really appreciated. And then when I realized I really wanted to get involved in the business was in 2016. And you and I had went and sat with Ken at the entrepreneurship program, and we had talked details with him, and that really kind of opened and changed. Maybe that was 2015, but that had really opened and changed my mind of how I was viewing the company. I was in such a shell of thinking of it as, we're this size, we'll always be this size. How can you and I make enough money to support our personal lives? Compared to, okay, how can I take this company, we can grow together and have a lifestyle that supports both of our needs, but also build a foundational infrastructure of people around us to allow us to have freedom with our time too.
What were the degrees that you got at University of Houston that allowed you to assume the position of CEO here at Amstill? I mean, what do you think that impacted your ability to run the company like you are now?
So I got 2 degrees, one in marketing, and then the second one was in entrepreneurship from the Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship. And I think my marketing degree played a critical role in the early years of the business because we didn't do really much, if any, marketing or advertisement per se. And I think having the understanding of how to do that properly is what allowed the phones to ring in the early years. And of course, we still do it to this day. I think my entrepreneurship degree helped me out with just real world practice because that whole program was not classroom book teaching, but it was going to businesses, learning from them, seeing how that worked, like real life, hands-on examples. And I think that probably the first 3 years of the business being involved, that degree and those experiences tremendously helped. And I think that now where I'm at is some of those experiences I had impacted me permanently from like a development standpoint to where now it's snowballed and rolled forward. But those gave me really, really key development points as a person that I needed to be even in a leadership role now successfully. I feel like those things did play a critical role with where we are and where I am now as a person.
The reason why I had such confidence in you is because you were disciplined and you seemed to be very organized. And I remember you used to have a really good hobby that allowed you to concentrate. And that concentration, I think, has developed you into the man you are because you were always determined to complete that task. You know, whatever you started, I always noticed you always finished it. And I remember your hobby, you did, can you tell me a little bit about how that detail work allowed you to be detail orientated with
Sure. Yes.
Amstill today?
So the hobby, as you know, is like tabletop strategy games, like board games, but chess mixed on steroids. And a lot of it is you have to build it yourself and you got to paint it yourself, and then you can go play on a table against someone. And it's just like life, there's shortcuts. And a shortcut in the hobby would be to either pay someone to build it for you or just build it and not paint it. so you don't really get to enjoy it. And for me, what was enjoyment from it was I got the fulfillment of seeing it from start to finish, building it, painting it, and going and playing with it. So I think that just the early on days of being young and having something that I would have to see through to fully enjoy allowed me now to do things and see them all the way through to get an end result from it, instead of just going halfway in and giving up on it or just discontinuing it.
Where do you see the company going, since you're our CEO and you do such an excellent job? I remember that Best of the Best Success Conference where you actually spoke in front of thousands of people. Your presentation was amazing, and that's what allowed me to understand that you are the new Amstill. I was the founder of the old Amstill, but when I passed the torch to you, I passed it with confidence, knowing that you would be successful. What allows you mentally to take the company into the next generations of years, for roofing?
I'd have to say the people that we've put in certain positions throughout the company have allowed us to focus on the bigger picture, to grow the business, because where we are today wouldn't be possible without the employees that we have. It would be a nightmare if it was any other way. The vision of the company, what was your question? Was it vision? What was your question?
Like in other words, like if I decided to take off for a year and go live in Tahiti,
yeah,
then how would you do things? Would you do things any differently than you do now, or do you have a greater vision for like the next decades ahead? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'd probably do some things differently, a little less conservative on some things, a little bit more like, just put my foot in something and try it out to see if it worked. You've been a good baseboard or like soundboard for things, but I know you're much more reserved than I am when it comes to ideas and like the truck wraps many years ago.
Oh yeah.
But as for the company and like growth and like where we're wanting to go, my goal is for us to be able to service about 1,500 clients a year for roof replacement jobs in the Houston and greater Houston area, and then surrounding smaller cities. And you and I have worked on that, and we've done roofs in Austin now, and done roofs in Lake Charles, and done roofs in San Antonio while maintaining our Houston operation. So we know it's super possible, but for me it's how can we provide a quality of service for more homeowners that are deserving of it, because at the end of the day everyone can afford an Amstill roof. It's just the fact of, can we get in front of those homeowners for them to have the opportunity to make an educated decision to select us. So I would just say just growth in that category and smaller satellites around the greater Houston area, because Houston, unlike most areas in the country, inner cities are usually only a couple million people. Houston is, I think, almost 7 million people now. So it's the equivalency of like 3 regular cities all throughout other major areas of America. So I think there's a lot of opportunity without having to go too far away. And I think there's a lot of great people that we just can pick up along the way and grow with us in the organization. But the ultimate goal is to be a well-known household name in the major cities that we service, which obviously we do now in Houston. I would say a lot of homeowners have an opportunity or at least know about us. It's being that heavy brand name in the area.
That's just amazing, Sam. What a great father and son team we've made all these years. And I worked my whole life to build the business. You've enhanced it significantly. And I know the company's in great hands. And that's one of the reasons why I have so much admiration and respect for the contribution that you make on a daily basis and how you built the business. I always had a good foundation built on integrity and great reputation, which we still have. And now knowing that you're literally running the business and I'm in field operations and you're running this entire wonderful Amstill Roofing, it makes me sleep well at night, because I know that you'll always continue the tradition that I built, that I worked so hard on customer satisfaction and standing behind your word and make that commitment, to quality and everything. So I'm really proud to have you as my son, and proud to have you as my CEO.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I'm Frank Stilley, President.
I'm Sam Stilley, CEO.
I want to thank all of you for the opportunity presented today to allow me to share some thoughts with my son and discuss the vision of the company and the history of the company and the foundation that we build on, which is strength with honor and all the values that we hold dear. We really truly are true patriots, and we truly believe that if you want to make anything the very best, then you have to be the very best you can be. And if you maintain your discipline, your commitment, and maintain at all times the opportunity to make sure that your customer deserves the very best, and with that thought in mind, you can never ever sell yourself short on anything that would come across your path on the road less traveled. If you take that road and you maintain your discipline along with your commitment, then you're always going to have the most wonderful opportunity each day that you share with others. And today, for you to share your time with us and to hear our story humbles me and makes me awful proud that I have an opportunity to be here next to my son Sam.
After everything he just said, we really appreciate the opportunity to spend our time with you. And we know how important it is working with contractors today. And it can be super stressful, super headache, you don't know who you're dealing with, or you don't know the owners or management behind a company. And we hope you got to see enough about us and who we are as people and what we stand for to understand that you can trust us with your home or your property at any time. So if you have any questions or do have a need for roofing assistance, please feel free to contact our office at any time. We'd be happy to assist you in giving you and your family the roof that you need and deserve.